Have you ever felt like stuck, you know, like you're holding on to something that's already gone,
Oh, yeah.
like a relationship, an old job, or even just an old version of yourself? It's this feeling of clinging on tight, but all you're left with is a fistful of air. Hmm. And that's kind of what we're looking at in today's deep dive.
Okay.
But instead of therapy, we're using art as our guide.
Interesting.
We're going to be exploring a single watercolor painting called Untitled 2, and we're going to be looking at it through two really different lenses:
Okay.
Zen Buddhism and the I Ching.
Ah, that feeling of grasping at shadows. I know it well,
Yeah.
and using art as that kind of mirror to look at those internal struggles, that's a powerful approach.
So to get us started, can you kind of just walk us through this painting Untitled 2 so we all know what we're looking at?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, when you look at this painting, imagine to the left these towering trees. They're rooted deep in the earth. And then there's this dense forest that kind of stretches back into the middle ground, almost swallowing up the light.
Okay.
And above it all is the sky, and it's full of these swirling blues and grays like a storm has just passed, or maybe it's brewing, you can't really tell.
Yeah.
And it's all done in these kind of like earthy greens and browns, and with a real loose style, it kind of feels both energetic and peaceful at the same time.
Yeah, it really does have this tension, like this energy, but also this stillness. And it's interesting that you pick up on that because I feel like that's really central to both Zen Buddhism and the I Ching as well.
Absolutely. It's that kind of interplay between those forces that I think makes this painting so compelling.
So let's start with Zen Buddhism.
Okay.
And I know that nature is really important in Zen, but how does that connect to this feeling of being stuck that we're talking about?
Well, in Zen, nature is a constant reminder of impermanence. You
Uh-huh.
know, those stormy skies in the painting. They're not just weather. They're kind of a metaphor for the ever-changing nature of life.
Okay.
And when we resist that change, when we cling to things that are already gone,
Yeah.
that's where suffering comes in.
Okay, so I see how the painting kind of embodies that. But then there's this whole other concept of mu, right?
Right.
Which means emptiness.
Yes.
And that one always kind of trips me up out. How does a painting about stormy skies and trees represent emptiness?
Well, think of it this way. The emptiness that Mu points to, it's not about nothingness.
Okay.
It's about the absence of a fixed, unchanging self.
Okay.
It's like saying, look, you think you are this solid, separate thing, but really you are just this collection of experiences, emotions, thoughts, all constantly in motion, shifting and changing, and that's why you feel stuck.
Okay.
Because you're trying to hold on to a version of yourself that doesn't actually exist.
Wow. Okay, so the painting with its like swirling sky and shifting light,
Right.
it's showing us that everything is in flux,
Yes.
even ourselves. And maybe the beauty of it is realizing that we're part of this larger flow rather than trying to be some fixed point.
Exactly. And that acceptance, that letting go of that rigid self-identity, that's a key step towards finding true peace.
Okay. But that's easier said than done. How do we actually let go?
Well, that's a great question, and it might be where the I Ching comes in,
Okay.
with its wisdom rooted in change, offering some guidance.
Okay.
One interpretation of the painting, and this uses hexagram 59 dispersion,
Okay.
suggests a breaking down of obstacles, you know, resolution through dissolution.
Huh.
It's not about forcing change, but allowing things to naturally disperse,
Okay.
just like those storm clouds in the painting, eventually revealing a clear sky.
So if we connect that back to the feeling of being stuck, are you saying that instead of fighting tooth and nail, we need to kind of step back and allow those obstacles to dissolve on their own?
Exactly, and this aligns perfectly with the Zen idea of non-attachment. It's about recognizing that our struggles often stem from clinging to fixed ideas about who we are and what we want.
Right.
The painting and its depiction of constant change
Yeah.
reminds us to surrender to the flow.
So we have Zen, emphasizing impermanence.
Yes.
And then we have the I Ching's concept of dispersion, this dissolving of obstacles. Are they both pointing toward the same idea of letting go?
They are indeed. Both systems, while different in their approach, seem to converge on this idea that true peace comes from embracing the ever-changing nature of reality.
It's amazing how one painting can spark such a deep conversation.
It is, isn't it? It's the beauty of art.
Yeah.
It speaks to us on multiple levels, inviting us to explore these universal truths in a way that, you know, logic and words sometimes can't.
And even the style the artist uses, this loose, expressive style, it just amplifies that feeling of movement and change.
Absolutely. The style mirrors the message.
Yeah.
It echoes the fluidity of the philosophies we're discussing. And, you know, it's fascinating how the artist blends these influences.
Mm-hmm.
There's a sense of both romantic and impressionistic traditions here, but it's also distinctly modern.
Yeah, it's like they're taking these traditional ideas about change and impermanence
Right.
and reinterpreting them for today.
And that reinterpretation is key because
Mm.
while these philosophies have been around for centuries,
Yeah.
their relevance to our modern lives is undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the anxieties we face, this feeling of being swept along by forces beyond our controls,
Yeah.
struggling to find meaning amidst chaos,
Yeah.
these are timeless human experiences that
Mhm.
Zen, the I Ching, and even this painting all speak to.
Yeah. But we're just scratching the surface here.
Oh,
There's
absolutely.
so much more to uncover.
There is.
Okay. I am ready to keep digging.
Let's do it. You know how we were talking about that feeling of tension in the painting?
Yeah.
Like right before or after a storm?
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
like something really powerful has happened or is about to happen. Right.
It's so visceral, like
Mhm.
you can almost smell the rain in the air.
Well, there's another I Ching interpretation that speaks directly to that.
Okay.
One of the courses connects Untitled 2 to hexagram 43,
Okay.
resoluteness or breakthrough.
Resoluteness. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds a little different.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. Sounds more about taking charge,
Mm-hmm.
not letting go. How does that fit with the painting?
Well, look at those trees. You know, they're weathering that storm. They're
Yeah.
standing so strong and rooted deep in the earth.
Yeah.
This hexagram is about facing obstacles head on, you know, with clarity and decisiveness.
So it's not just about accepting change.
No.
It's about meeting that change with courage and purpose.
Exactly. It's about action.
Yeah, it's like those trees, they're not just bending with the wind, they're standing firm.
Mm-hmm.
They're growing even stronger because of the storm.
Absolutely. It's that resilience that
Yeah.
we were talking about earlier.
Mhm.
Untitled 2, through this lens, becomes a call to action. Okay.
It reminds us that sometimes, we need to stand tall and face those storms in our lives, not just wait for them to pass.
It's funny, we always talk about finding peace, you know, in the quiet moments.
Right.
But what if the real growth happens in those turbulent times?
Mm-hmm.
What if those storms are actually the catalyst for transformation?
Well, that's a profound insight. And the painting seems to suggest just that, both the storm and the stillness are part of a natural cycle,
Yeah.
both necessary for growth and renewal.
Okay.
Think about how a forest fire, as destructive as it is, can actually make way for new life.
Wow. Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
That's true.
Okay. I'm definitely seeing how these different interpretations are layering upon each other,
Mm-hmm.
adding depth and complexity to this artwork.
Right.
It's like each lens is revealing a new facet of the painting
Yes.
and of ourselves.
And speaking of layers, let's not forget the artist, the sources describe the style as loose and expressive, drawing on romantic and impressionistic traditions.
Right. But with a modern twist.
Yeah.
It's like they're bridging the past and present tradition and innovation.
It's like they're taking these ancient philosophies
Yeah.
and translating them into a visual language that speaks to us today.
One source even suggests that the painting could be like a metaphor for the creative process itself.
Huh.
The turbulent sky, represents that chaotic burst of inspiration.
Yeah.
While those grounded trees, they symbolize that structure and discipline needed to shape that raw energy into a work of art.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So it's not just about weathering life's storms.
Yeah.
It's also about channeling that creative energy, embracing the messiness of it all,
Right.
and finding that balance between inspiration and discipline.
Yes.
It's like the artist is giving us this glimpse into their own creative journey.
And isn't that one of the beautiful things about art?
Yeah.
It allows us to connect with that artist's inner world, to feel those emotions that they poured onto the canvas. But it also invites us to reflect on our own creative potential.
Yeah, this whole conversation is making me want to pick up a paintbrush.
I know, me too.
Or maybe just go for a walk in the woods
Mm-hmm.
and just really soak in the power of nature.
Yes.
We've covered so much. Zen, the I Ching, the artistic style, the creative process.
It's a lot.
I still feel like there's more to explore.
Oh, there is.
Like, we're just scratching the surface here.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about Zen. We've talked about the I Ching, the artist's style, even the creative process itself.
Right.
But where do we fit into all of this?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not artists.
Right.
We're not Zen masters. How can we apply these ideas, in our own lives?
That's a great question. And it really gets to the heart of why art matters in the first place. Because ultimately, art is a dialogue. It's a conversation between the artist, the artwork, and the observer.
So it's not just about what the artist intended.
No.
It's also about what we as viewers bring to the experience.
Exactly. Our own life experiences, our beliefs, even just our mood in that moment.
Yeah.
It all shapes how we see and interpret a work of art.
So no two people are going to experience Untitled 2 in the same way.
Exactly.
And it feels like, in this case, having these lenses of Zen Buddhism and the I Ching, it gives us a richer vocabulary.
Yes.
A way to engage with the painting on this deeper level.
They do. They offer a set of concepts and a language to help us articulate what we might be feeling, but haven't been able to put into words.
You know, one of the sources talked about thinking about the painting as a meditation on balance.
Okay.
Like acknowledging, those storms in life, the constant change, but not being totally overwhelmed by it.
And that's a practice I think we could all benefit from.
Yeah.
Learning to ride those waves of change rather than being tossed around by them.
Yeah. How do we respond to those storms in our own lives?
Right.
Where do we find or maybe struggle to find that stillness?
It's interesting because Zen emphasizes, being present, accepting what is.
Right. While the I Ching, even though it's all about change, it also seems to offer this framework for navigating those transitions, those ups and downs.
That's a really good point. It's like the two systems complement each other.
Yeah.
Zen's focus on acceptance.
Right.
And then the I Ching's emphasis on understanding the patterns of change. And combined, they offer these really powerful tools for anyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just artists or philosophers.
At all.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
I feel like I've gained this whole new appreciation for the painting, but also for these ancient systems of thought.
And the journey doesn't have to end here.
Okay.
The source actually suggests, taking these concepts and applying them to other aspects of nature.
Okay.
Think about your own experiences. A specific tree that you love, a river, even in the sunrise each morning.
Yeah.
How might Zen or the I Ching interpret those everyday wonders? So they're giving us permission to see the world through fresh eyes, to find those hidden depths in the ordinary.
Exactly, because the truth is those depths are always there waiting to be discovered.
So listener, what does all of this mean for you? Consider this a starting point. Go out into the world. Observe nature. Let those ideas of impermanence change the dissolving of obstacles. Just let them swirl around in your mind. How do they resonate with your own experiences? This deep dive is just a spark. Let it ignite your own explorations, your own creative interpretations. Who knows, maybe you'll be inspired to create your own Untitled 2, whether it's on canvas or in your own life.